The bottom line is the argument always is Man City had to come from a longer run-up, right? They had to come from a position of rebuilding themselves and to be able to catch up. But that's not true. If you compare the period of time that Pep Guardiola has been manager of Man City and compare the period of time that Klopp has and do a like-for-like comparison, it is a fact. Guardiola has spent £667,000 per Premier League point achieved in his time. Klopp has spent 243,000, so he's a third of the spend pattern. Then you get into the territory of net spend, if you want to run that argument. And net spend, Guardiola spends £108 million per season net. Klopp spends £28 million, and that's before we even get into salaries. Because we all know that Man City spent far more on salaries than Liverpool do.
Yeah.
So all of these things lead you to the conclusion that they've bought their way to these successes. The original argument was which is more meritatious? Is it the amount of trophies that have been won by Man City or the quality of trophies won by Liverpool? I go with Man City in that argument, but it's undeniable they've bought it. They've bought it.
Mark,
they've
Liverpool
outspent
fan.
everybody besides Man U.
Mark, you've been listening to Simon there, and I think you're going to totally agree with him that City, it would seem, compared to anyone else, have bought their success.
I tell you what, me and high five, idiot cuddle, whatever. Right, the point being is when Klopp took over at Liverpool, we had players like Mignolet, Alberto Moreno, Joe Allen in the first team squad. Guardiola had Aguero, De Bruyne, David Silva and Fernandinho, and then he moulded that team to how he wanted. He's still got them players. The fact of the matter is, when you can choose another world-class player to come in, if there's an injury, a drop in form, since you've got that, fine, no problem. They've been backed. Liverpool haven't got that, and they still haven't got that. This is why the trophy haul for City has been so much bigger than what Liverpool's has. Could Pep Guardiola have started at Liverpool with that team and still managed to win with the finances that Klopp's been given at Liverpool? I don't think he could.
It's an interesting question from Mark. You're agreeing with Mark as well, Trevor. I saw you nodding to the points he was making.
I'm agreeing with the question. It's a good question. We'll never know that because we can only speculate, because fortunately Manchester City went above and beyond every other club in the country to get the services of Pep Guardiola, the best manager in the world, in my opinion. But what I would say is Manchester City have spent a lot of money, but they've also recruited a lot of money as well, recouped a lot of money from sales. They have 350 million plus.
Not by comparison.
I'm just saying about what Manchester City. I'm just saying about what Manchester City. I'm not comparing.
But that's
anyone.
irrelevant. It's not by comparison.
It's relevant to me.
It's not relevant to the argument you're making.
What argument am I making? I've just said they spent money.
Okay, make the argument then.
Yeah, so I've said they spent money, but they've recruited 350 million. Their academy makes a lot of money from sales of players as well.
So does Chelsea.
Yeah, but why do you keep on chirping up? Do you want to hear my point, or do you just?
Well, I want you to get to it.
The fact is, they've recruited the best players with the best manager, and they're winning the best trophies. It's as simple as that.
Within the biggest amount of money being. And by the way, let's push back on the rule side of things, because they were actually found guilty by UEFA, cleared by CAS. Court of Arbitration of Sport have just cleared a Russian athlete that's been proven to have taken drugs. So we'll look at Court of Arbitration of Sport with a limited point of view. They haven't been cleared of breaching for FFP. They've been found guilty of it twice.
They've got a great football model, and they're being very successful with it around the world.
Because they bought it.
Keep pushing it,
Trev.
Keep pushing
you can't win this argument,
you always turn it into a different situation. We're talking about what Manchester City have achieved.
We're setting the landscape. You can't have all arguments going in your favour. Man City have won the most trophies, and that is commendable. And is an argument
and that was what our debate was about.
How did they do it? They bought it.
I'm not saying they've not spent a lot of money.
You're arguing against it.
But Manchester United have spent more money.
Terry, we're coming to you, mate.
Man United don't waste the time, aren't they?
City bought their success. As a Liverpool fan, Terry, you probably say yes, they have bought their success.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say to Trev, the second best manager in the world, because Klopp's the best by far. I honestly don't think Pep Guardiola could come to Liverpool and do what Klopp's done with the squad he had, like the last caller said. Man City had a fantastic team, and everyone's trying to get to that quality. But to go and buy, was it 3 fullbacks that they bought for 50 million each? So having that amount of money. It's a lot easier.
I'm not saying it's not. I'm not saying it's not easy. But what I am saying is you've still got to get it right. The recruitment's still got to be right, because as Simon's just pointed out, Manchester United have spent a lot more than Manchester City, and look where they are.
Look at Liverpool's recruitment. Yeah. Liverpool's recruitment is brilliant.
I'm not saying it isn't. I'm saying it's great.
Good clubs have good recruitment. Chelsea's recruitment's good. All the top clubs have good recruitment, and Man City aren't alone in that.
Terry, do you agree with Trent that the trophies you've won are the biggest and the best ones?
I mean, to win the league and that, like we've come close loads of times and always bottled it. But I think Klopp called us mentality monsters at one point, and I think that he's been the driving force. But like I was saying, that City, they are an unbelievable side, and it kills me to say that, but I honestly think, like, if this season we win our game in hand and then we go to Man City and beat them, the pressure goes on City because we'll be 3 points behind them, and that's where Liverpool now, everyone's like writ us off because they think City's won it, and I think if we can get to that point, it'll be unbelievable if we do win it.
I think it sure will. Terry, listen, thank you for that. Simon, Danny Mills gets in touch with me. Listen, when you keep winning Premier Leagues, Cups, etc., you get more money. You get more sponsorship, so you can spend more. That's the process.
Yeah, that's true. And but ultimately,
so sure, City have spent more, but they spent more because they've earned more.
That's not necessarily true, because if you go and look at the turnovers of Liverpool against Man City during that period of time, it will be about £200 or £300 million difference over those seasons, which is by no means the comparison difference in spend. He's right, because if you win Premier Leagues, you're going to get more money, but it's about 15-20 million quid a year more.
Right.
Because Liverpool have been deeper in the Champions League more times than Man City has.
That's on prize money. You're talking about sponsorships and general revenue.
But you look at the turnover of these two clubs. Yeah. Look at Man City's turnover.
So why are Liverpool not reinvesting more money in players? Because they're nowhere near it at the moment.
That's for them to answer,
exactly.
Isn't it?
Well, listen, with all due respect to City and Liverpool, here's a fellow who supports the best club in the world. He's Chelsea fan. He's George. George, good morning.
Morning, guys. Great show as always.
Morning,
Great
George.
show.
Thank you, George. Where do you stand in this, mate?
Well, let's just remember, okay, there's a few facts here. Chelsea have reached finals in 2005, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 15, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 and 22.
And they bought those as well.
And there's 5 Premiership titles in there as well.
And they bought them.
We're the most decorated side
Keep going,
in the past
George.
20 years. Okay?
Right.
Tuchel's been there just over a year, and he's in 4 finals, and he's won 3 of them. Okay? We, at the moment, are the European champions. Okay?
Yes.
That title is at Stamford Bridge. Like, why we're saying that Man City are just going to roll over this Champions League, you've still got Bayern Munich in it. Look at Paris Saint-Germain. Look what they've spent. They've never won it.
So, you know, but on what Trent was suggesting, and he's tongue-in-cheek, we know that. But Trophy Hall, though, George, Trophy Hall, is it quantity or quality?
I think it's quality, but I think Chelsea have got the quantity and the quality.
What's the acid? What is the acid test, George? What's the acid test for a club? What is the trophy every club wants to win?
Champions League.
I disagree.
Oh, Trevor, it has to
Chelsea,
be me.
Chelsea wished that they woke up and played football like Man City. In the 19 years that he's been there, Abramovich, they've only ever once had a team that looked vaguely like a team that people want to watch that are neutral. Man City will be watched by neutrals. I've watched Chelsea over the years. I'm a London boy. I appreciate the vagaries and peculiarities of Chelsea. But they are the ultimate role models for how football has gone the wrong direction. They're the ones that started the passage of buying Premier Leagues. And look at the 2 Champions League finals that they've been in. You know, they got battered within an inch of their lives in both Champions League finals and nicked past both games 1-0. You know, these aren't inspiring wins that they've got.
Final word. Here's Terry, the Liverpool fan, another Liverpool fan, and he'll take us up to 11:15. Terry, good morning. Have your say in this, mate.
Yeah, hi there, Simon. Hi, Trevor.
Morning, Terry.
You were one of the players I wanted back in 2001 for Liverpool, mate. Basically, I'm just questioning what Simon said earlier on. He said about the Premier League competing with the Champions League. And I'm not being funny, Simon, I normally agree with you. But how can you say, like, we've just been through what they call the group of death with Porto, with AC Milan. And obviously, what I'm saying is, the likes of Southampton, obviously, you've got, like, Burnley. I mean, but apart from the top 8, realistically, there's qualifiers to get into the Champions League. So my point is that the teams in the Champions League are a lot better than what's in the Premier League. It's not being funny. If you had Burnley or you had the likes of Watford playing, I don't know, Porto, AC Milan, Inter Milan, Juventus, they ain't going to win.
Well, let me reposition the observation there.
That's not a bad observation.
That's a fair observation. I really wasn't thinking about the bottom 3 teams in the Premier League. I'm thinking about the top 10 sides in the Premier League and the competitivity of those sides. So you're right to pull me up on that. But the idea that the Premier League, Liverpool spent a generation aspiring to win the Premier League for 30 years. They didn't win it for 30 years. They won the Champions League in a knockout tournament in 2005. Brilliant result. But I just think that the Premier League has more merit to it, and I think most football people think the same. 38 games, win your domestic league. If you don't win your domestic league, you can't play in the Champions League. Or you go into the Champions League as not a champion.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.